Frontier opening bell for Wednesday, the 12th of June. Get started right now. Is a day of democracy celebration in Nigeria, of course, marking the 31st year in which Nigeria has conducted what was considered the most fairest general elections back in June 12, 1993, that saw Nigeria's billionaire businessman, the late Emeka Abiola, supposedly said to have won that general elections. It's still very contentious issues. So on the streets of Lagos right now, you find some measure of protest, folks complaining about the state of the economy, the crunching effects of exchange rate flotation, the removal of petrol subsidy, and the hike in electricity prices. All of that coming to mix around the country's financial and economic capital. This Monday is a public holiday, and some folks are on the street already protesting and asking the government to revisit those policies. That's what's going on in Nigeria this morning, Wednesday, the 12th of June. Remember, exactly 30 years ago in 1994, the country was thrown into one of its most toughest economic lockdown ever, the June 12th, 1 year after the elections, and that was under the late Frank Kokore and the oil and gas sector workers. Today is a little bit a remembrance of those very hard days. Now, I just face very crunching problems as far as the economic and social welfare is concerned for the country. But that's just by the way. Let's just get onto the markets. Just the day before, the market took a breather for today, Tuesday. The stock market index fell by 16 basis points. The BRVM came back into the green territory since last Friday by 12 basis points. The Egyptian market continued in the green territory by 0.75%, taking the EGX 30 slightly above the 26,000 reading. The Nairobi stock market was down roughly 0.4%, while the GSE fell by 15 basis points. There's still a bit of nervousness on the part of investors, businesses, and others as far as the general elections is concerned, and the talks about political alliance and what the future will be. News coming out of South Africa on Monday was that the Jacob Zuma, former president who also wanted to contest for presidential elections, who just had a political party, is asking for the suspension of the resumption of the parliament. All that in a political risk going much higher for Africa's most advanced economy. Let's leave it there. Let's get on into East Africa and grab a few headlines for you as we get another business day started out of Nigeria in West Africa. Cooperative Bank of Kenya will pay about $8.8 billion in gross cash dividend to shareholders, while the central bank is tightening the interbank rates to lower credit costs to Kenyans as part of the rejigging of the economy and make things a little bit easier for Kenyans who are facing a whole lot more tight VAT tax overall regime under the new administration. The finance bill is still being highly contended. Rwanda Air Cargo says it's adding Dubai and Djibouti in the Horn of Africa to its cargo routes, where private investors now control about 67% of Dar es Salaam. Remember, DP World on one hand, and you've got the Adani Group coming out from India, also being part of Tanzania's second cargo seaport operations in Dar es Salaam as well. All of that now puts about 67% of Tanzania's port operations in the hands of foreign investors. Indirect line assurance in Kenya is holding about which holds about 60.79% of Kenya's PSV insurance has been shut down. Let's touch in West Africa with Nigeria's close for today. But we've got a couple of headlines because Access Bank yesterday formally announced that it's fully acquired the African Banking Corps operations in Tanzania, which expands its foothold in East Africa. Nigeria's improved crude exports raises OPEC May output. OPEC released its latest monthly report on Tuesday. And Diageo sells a key stake in Guinness Nigeria to Tolaram. That will mean that about more than 50, close to 60% of Diageo holdings in Guinness as a strategic shareholder after the UK is now been onboarded to Tolaram. Tolaram's group in Nigeria has almost about $1 billion in total assets and projects under operations, and that will be a major shift. What happens to Guinness Nigeria as a listed company is anyone's guess moving forward. But let's wait and see what the further announcements will be from the Tolaram group. And you got African Energy Chamber in the energy sector, announcing it's going to hold a Nigeria-specific, Nigeria-focused oil and gas seminar conference in Lagos on the June the 25th. And Ghana, in next door, says it earned about $4.2 billion from mining exports last year, while AFDB is evaluating the Niger Basin climate change projects in Niamey. Those projects worth about $218 million US. You've been briefed of what's going on the West Coast. Let's get down to Southern Africa and the political issues and nervousness, concerns yet to go away for retail investors, for institutional investors, for indirect investors, and local folks, because that's also part of what the economic future. Look at the Standard Bank reporting about 121% surge in offshore accounts opening in full year 2023. You've heard about the number of millionaires in US dollar terms decreasing across Africa over the past few years. So folks are now asking Standard Bank to open accounts for them offshore out of South Africa because they're concerned about the state of the economy there. Even before the elections, Eskom, Transnet, and a whole lot of other water system in the municipalities in Africa's most advanced economy giving serious concerns. We've got out of there. You have load reduction in Johannesburg to prevent total grid collapse. The problems with Eskom is not over yet. In the meantime, the IMF says it welcomes South Africa's efforts against the country's made to rein in inflation. The target for the Reserve Bank is about 4.5%. And Zimbabwe is reporting industry beating about $8 billion of its targets in terms of total output, while Malawi has now made it very tough for those who are connecting electricity illegally. That will fetch you 100 million Kwacha in fines or about 20-year imprisonment. And that's going for the jugular, as it were. The country is reeling from electricity problems. It's trying to say, look, you can tap electricity illegally. You've got to pay for it. Meanwhile, the country is mourning the death of the vice president who died alongside about 9 others in an helicopter air crash just a few days ago. Let's finish off in North Africa and grabbing a few headlines with Attal Properties unveiling the 101 project in Mostakbal City. That's about 25 billion Egyptian pounds in terms of investment. That's a huge housing project, property project, or real estate. In the meantime, the New Development Bank of Egypt hosts its inaugural seminar, which opened with the Prime Minister attending that particular investment forum. And Sia Capital says it's completed a securitization bond issuance worth about 1.04 billion Egyptian pounds for Aman Consumer Finance. And finally, the Crown Prince Modley El Hassan has launched construction of about 653 million US dollars Casablanca desalinization plant, and that's in Morocco under King Mohammed's administration. And those are your headlines this morning from Frontier Opening Bell. I am Bosin Mafai. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon, everyone.